cm tall, and my hobbies are football, netball, playing sports, going to the gym, and yoga.
Hey guys, I'm in Taiwan right now for Face of Beauty International 2014, and me and my roommate Miss Sweden wishing you a happy Halloween, guys.
Happy Halloween.
This case took place in Malaysia, in the capital city of Kuala Lumpur. The Cap Square residences are known for their affluent residents and exude an air of refinement and luxury. Located between two iconic landmarks, the Petronas Twin Towers and the high-end shopping destination Surya KLCC, this upscale complex offers spacious, modern units and a taste of opulence for those who can afford it. Amenities include a swimming pool, a well-equipped gym, lush gardens, and even a spa for its residents. Security is tight, with 24/7 CCTV and controlled access. That's why people were shocked to hear of drug-fueled recklessness and a potential murder in such a family-friendly apartment complex, especially in a country where possession of illicit substances is punishable by death. On December 7th, 2017, around 2:45 in the afternoon, a resident on the 6th floor of Cap Square Residences returned to his apartment only to find the wooden canopy covering his balcony completely shattered. Splinters and debris were scattered all over, most of it piled in one area. He was at a loss, unable to imagine what could have caused such explosive damage. As he walked closer to inspect the scene, he noticed something strange amidst the wreckage. At first, he couldn't make out what it was, but as the shape came into focus, he gasped. It was a tall human figure, completely naked. Her body was stiff and rigid, with her arms crossed over her chest. This odd positioning deepened his shock. It seemed unnatural, almost like a combination of a dive and a cannonball, or perhaps it looked more ritualistic, her arms crossed like an Egyptian mummy. It was clear she had crashed through his canopy, and he was left in utter disbelief at the sight. He immediately called the police, but questions filled his mind. Who was she? Where had she come from? He didn't recognize her from the building, and she looked young. Could she have been a child? He informed the police that he'd left the apartment at 9:30 a.m. that morning, so whatever happened had occurred between then and when he returned at 2:45. Surprisingly, no one else seemed to have heard, seen, or reported anything. Surely, the sound of someone falling through and shattering a balcony canopy would be noticeable. Investigators learned from the guards that she wasn't a resident they recognized, so they turned to the building's CCTV footage, hoping to piece together the story of this mysterious woman. How and when did she enter the building? That same day, in the early hours, at 5:44 a.m., cameras captured a woman matching her description entering the elevator with a resident couple, Alexander and Luna Johnson. This wealthy American couple lived on the 20th floor. The footage showed the woman entering, but after that, there was no sign of her or the couple leaving the building. Officers headed to the Johnsons' apartment, accompanied by the building's caretaker. They knocked on the door but received no answer. The caretaker noted faint sounds coming from within, like glasses clinking. Someone was home. But were they ignoring the door on purpose? For some reason, rather than pushing further or entering, the officers decided to leave and return later. At around 5 p.m., they knocked again, and this time Alexander and Luna answered. They claimed to have no knowledge of what happened to their guest, a Dutch model named Ivana Smit. Hello, I'm Victor from Crimes Anatomy, and today's case is one of mystery and tragedy. This story is about a teenage model who allegedly plunged 14 stories to her death, completely naked, while her hosts claimed to know nothing, despite being awake for hours and her fall originating from their balcony. Something doesn't sit right in this case. In fact, a lot doesn't sit right. Join me as I investigate and unravel how an American cryptocurrency trader and his wife were living a secret life of drugs, desire, and sin. But did that life also lead to murder? Let's take a look. Ivana Smit was born on January 4th, 1999, in Sittard, Limburg, Netherlands. She was the baby of her family, especially with a 14-year gap between her and her older brother. Ivana was of mixed ethnicity, with Dutch and Chinese Indonesian roots. She had big dreams and wasn't afraid of the hard work it took to achieve them. Her parents, busy running a used car dealership, couldn't always be around, so Ivana spent much of her childhood with her grandparents. When her grandparents moved to Penang, Malaysia in 2002, she missed them desperately, even refusing to eat until she could join them. Eventually, she did move to Penang, where she grew up, attending school from kindergarten to high school and graduating early at just 16. Ivana was raised with strong values of respect, discipline, and hard work. This was evident. She was fluent in 4 languages: Dutch, English, Mandarin, and Malay. She played both the guitar and piano, and even held a black belt in Taekwondo, but that just scratched the surface of her dedication. Her modeling career began at age 13, quickly gaining momentum when she placed second runner-up in the Malaysia Supermodel Search at 15. Standing at 5'11", Ivana dreamed of becoming a top model. After spending some time in Belgium, she moved to Kuala Lumpur at 18, where her career really started to take off. She signed with Triumph, walking runways and appearing in high-profile photo shoots, all in pursuit of her dream of becoming a Victoria's Secret angel. In 2017, she met Lucas Kramer, a fellow model, and they started dating soon after. Their relationship brought them both happiness, as they understood each other's profession and could offer each other support. At the time, she was preparing to compete in the Top Model Belgium 2018 contest in Paris. In 2017, Ivana was introduced to Alex and Luna Johnson through a mutual contact from a modeling gig. They seemed like a friendly, fun American-Kazakh couple. Their first meeting was at Prime, a popular Kuala Lumpur nightclub, during a Halloween event. Luna Johnson, 31, worked in education, while her husband Alexander, 44, was a prominent cryptocurrency entrepreneur from the US who had been living in Kuala Lumpur for nearly a decade. Alex reportedly had a strong reputation for influence and power in the area. The couple had a young daughter and lived in the luxurious Cap Square residences. The Johnsons described their relationship as progressive and admitted to having experimented with 3-way encounters, if you catch my drift. Luna, who identified as bisexual, and Ivana quickly connected, sharing playful exchanges on the dance floor. According to Luna, they weren't kissing that night, but were engaging in sexy moves. Ivana had even commented to Alex that his wife was awesome, something the couple remembered fondly. The Johnsons described Ivana as bold and charismatic. Luna, in fact, was smitten with her, calling her beautiful, charming, and confident. After that night, the trio stayed in touch through a WhatsApp group filled with flirtatious exchanges. Alex and Luna later claimed they were surprised to learn Ivana was 18, thinking she was actually 26. Somehow, I doubt this. Does she really look much older than 18? In the US, she wouldn't even be able to buy alcohol for 3 more years. Anyways, things moved quickly once they got acquainted. On November 4th, the Johnsons arranged childcare for their daughter and spent the night with Ivana at the Concord Hotel, engaging in debauchery and a 3-way encounter. The next morning, Ivana texted Luna saying, "Hey sexy, what are you doing? Thanks for last night." Luna responded warmly, hinting that she wanted to see her again. Alex and Luna later admitted that this was their first intimate encounter with Ivana, and their relationship continued. Over the following weeks, the trio spent more time together, frequenting clubs around Kuala Lumpur and building a closer, more intimate bond than the Johnsons' previous flings. Ivana had been staying with friends, steadily working through modeling gigs and paid model nights with appearances at upscale clubs. On December 6th, she attended an event at Mantra Rooftop Bar, a stylish venue offering sweeping city views and an affluent crowd. Her agent, who wished to remain anonymous, claimed that although Ivana seemed fine at first, she was soon looking for drugs, specifically ecstasy. Not long after Ivana arrived, Alex and then Luna joined her, CCTV footage captured Ivana dancing with Alex and Luna, mingling with the crowd, and frequently heading to the washroom with Luna. Around 2:15 a.m., they left together for Nine Club to attend a friend's birthday. Known for its elite clientele, Nine Club reportedly also had a reputation for drug availability. CCTV footage still showed them there around 5:22 a.m. Later footage revealed Alex carrying Ivana towards the elevator with her arms around him as she playfully kicked her feet. Luna walked behind them, dressed elegantly, with other people visible in the frame as well. Cameras at Cap Square residences then captured the three entering the building and heading up to the Johnsons' apartment. Around 5:44 a.m., once they were back at the apartment, Luna dismissed the babysitter. Ivana relaxed on the sofa with Luna, sipping cider. She had initially told her boyfriend, Lucas, that she'd be home earlier, but instead decided to stay out longer. Around 6:30 a.m., Lucas noticed she wasn't back yet and called to check on her. Ivana reassured him she was fine and explained she'd decided to stay with a friend. Lucas was relieved to hear she was safe and accepted her explanation. But then, just minutes later, he received another call from Ivana's phone. This time, it was Luna, who confirmed Ivana was with her and asked if everything was okay. He found it a little strange, as he hadn't doubted Ivana's account, but what he didn't know was that Ivana was with Luna and her husband. He had assumed it was just a female friend, and likely had no idea he was staying with her friend's husband, and had been intimate with him before as well. Then, at 7:24 a.m., Ivana sent Lucas a selfie with a message saying she was chilling. Lucas found the message somewhat unusual for Ivana, but reasoned it was probably due to her long night of partying. Luna recounted the morning, saying she woke up to find her daughter already up, so she joined her for breakfast with Ivana. Ivana was hammered, Luna described. I kept talking to her while I got my daughter ready for school. Ivana lay down as I took her there. Luna mentioned she was gone for around 30 minutes and returned at 8:15 a.m. When she got back, Luna found Ivana awake on the bed next to Alex, who was still asleep. She joined them, saying, "Okay, now I'm free." Luna and Ivana then spent some time on the sofa, where, after a bit, Ivana put on some music and unexpectedly undressed. According to Luna, the two of them became intimate in the bedroom. Afterward, Luna, feeling exhausted, lay down with Alex. Around 10 a.m., she got up again and saw Ivana wandering around, talking to herself and giggling. Luna, drained, returned to the bedroom and fell asleep quickly. At 1:25 p.m., Luna awoke and noticed Ivana's belongings, her clothes, shoes, bag, and phone, still scattered around the lounge and kitchen, but Ivana was nowhere in sight. Assuming Ivana had borrowed some clothes and gone to a photo shoot she'd mentioned earlier, Luna went back to sleep. If the Johnsons' account is accurate, it was sometime between 10 a.m. and 2:45 p.m. that day that Ivana fell from the 20th floor balcony of the Johnsons' apartment, plummeting 14 floors, roughly 42 meters. A fall from that height would have been fatal to anyone. According to the Johnsons, police arrived at their door around 5 p.m., informing them of Ivana's death. They claimed they were asleep and unaware she had fallen. Reportedly, their reaction was strangely detached. As they sat on the couch with the officers, they made no attempt to check the balcony or look outside. Now, if this happened in your home, what would you do? Personally, I'd be sprinting to the balcony to see for myself. But here, the Johnsons seemed almost prepared for the police. Inside the apartment, investigators found Ivana's belongings, including her clothes and bag, though notably, her underwear was missing. The Johnsons were initially taken into custody, not specifically due to Ivana's death, but on suspicion of drug use. Malaysia enforces severe penalties for drug possession and use, including hefty fines, long prison terms, and even the death penalty. In an initial test, the couple tested positive. Interestingly, they requested a second test, which came back negative. Highly suspicious, right? There's limited information on why the second test would override the first. Normally, you'd expect at least a third test for confirmation, but the fact they were allowed a retest to clear their names makes me wonder if their financial means played a role. Adding to the intrigue, the Johnsons were treated unusually well in custody. They were allowed a phone call shortly after questioning, and they called their cleaning lady, instructing her to tidy up their apartment. Shockingly, police hadn't secured the apartment as a potential crime scene. How could they dismiss the possibility of homicide so easily? The cleaner entered and began working, even disposing of glass shards from a broken cider bottle, which could have held forensic clues. By the time investigators showed up, the scene was already compromised, potentially valuable evidence disrupted. The photographs taken of the scene were criticized as inadequate, capturing only a few angles instead of a comprehensive layout. All these decisions and omissions raised unsettling questions. Was this an accident, or is there something darker being covered up? Ivana's boyfriend, Lucas, delivered the devastating news to her family, who immediately flew to Kuala Lumpur to retrieve her body and get answers, but they were met with resistance. Authorities presented them with a document to release Ivana's body, but required them to sign a statement agreeing her death was not a crime. Her family refused, convinced that the circumstances surrounding Ivana's last hours were far from clear. Ivana's friends and family questioned the initial claim of an accidental fall. To them, it seemed as though Malaysian authorities were eager to close the case, ruling out foul play without a thorough investigation and making a judgment within just one day. Authorities declared this an open and shut case, attributing her death to an accidental fall, likely influenced by alcohol or other substances. Even the way the autopsy was conducted raised several concerns. For one, the coroner failed to take Ivana's body temperature, a crucial step in determining the time of death. When the examination was finally conducted after a delay, it found multiple substances in Ivana's blood and identified her cause of death as a torn carotid artery. The report noted that she likely survived only briefly after her fall from the 20th floor, suffering from multiple internal injuries. With the ruptured carotid artery, the majority of her brain's blood supply would have been cut off. When Ivana's family finally saw her body, their suspicions only deepened. Bruises marked her arms and legs, adding to their growing sense that something was amiss. After securing the release of her body, they returned with her to the Netherlands for further investigation. In the Netherlands, a second autopsy was conducted by renowned pathologist Dr. Frank van der Goot, whose findings contradicted the initial report from Malaysia. He discovered a significant bruise on Ivana's head, one that van der Goot believed was inflicted before her fall. Then there was the toxicology report, which only added more questions. While Ivana's blood contained alcohol and cocaine, as found in the Malaysian report, it also revealed an additional substance, PMMA, a dangerous substance known to cause rapid overheating, heart problems, convulsions, and people can even OD on small amounts. The fact that Ivana had this drug in her system while the Johnsons tested clean raised questions. Where had she gotten the PMMA? Had someone slipped it into her drink? And was it consumed at the club or at the Johnsons' residence? The toxicology results showed that Ivana had ingested enough PMMA to reach near-lethal levels. In fact, she may have overdosed due to the combination of drugs and alcohol in her system. Finally, there was the position of her body, lying straight with her arms crossed, an odd pose for a fall. Typically, one would expect limbs to be splayed, with the body instinctively bracing for impact. Dr. van der Goot also observed signs that her body was already in rigor mortis at the time of her fall, which begins to set in roughly an hour after death. This detail suggests she may have already been deceased when she went over the balcony. Additionally, very little blood was found at the scene where she landed after falling 14 stories, about 42 meters, or 137 feet. This low blood evidence could suggest that her heart had stopped before the fall. If she had been alive upon impact, the scene would likely have been much bloodier. Male DNA, identified as Alex Johnson's, was also found under Ivana's nails and within her body. Authorities argued that this merely indicated prior intimate contact, but it still raised questions. The height and layout of the balcony presented further doubts about an accidental fall. Despite how intoxicated someone might be, it would be difficult to simply tumble over the edge due to a barrier and even a large air conditioning unit along the balcony's edge. To fall over, someone would have to deliberately climb over these obstacles, an unlikely scenario for an accidental fall. This leaves us with troubling possibilities. What if Ivana unknowingly overdosed? With a young woman overdosed on illegal drugs in their apartment, the Johnsons might have panicked, realizing the consequences that awaited them, possible charges, a hit to their reputation, scandal, and severe legal repercussions. Could this panic have led them to make a drastic, desperate decision? Did they, in their fear, throw her body over the balcony to avoid suspicion? And what about the bruises on her arms? If they weren't from the fall, where did they come from? Could the Johnsons have had an argument with Ivana? Could things have taken a violent turn? Under mounting pressure from her family, Malaysian authorities decided to present Ivana Smith's case to the coroner's court. Although it's not a full criminal trial, it's a step, a chance for the coroner's findings to be evaluated, allowing a judge to decide if Ivana's death was truly an accident or if a criminal case should be opened. The hearing was set for July 2018, about 6 months after Ivana's death, but notably absent were two key figures, Alex and Luna Johnson. Despite Alex's decade-long residency in Malaysia, the couple left the country shortly after Ivana's death, relocating to the United States and effectively refusing any further cooperation in the investigation. Their silence has left Ivana's parents in agony, still longing for answers. Don't they deserve the truth? During the hearing, a shocking claim came from a Malaysian officer. She testified that her police chief, Faisal, had instructed her to handle Ivana's case as an accidental death. According to her, this wasn't her decision. Faisal made it clear she had no other choice, describing her experience under his command as hell on earth. With a revelation like this, one would expect a full investigation into possible corruption. Yet, the coroner's court judge concluded Ivana's death was indeed accidental, ending the case with a single ruling. Ivana's family was outraged, rejecting this outcome as a sham. Convinced that a darker cover-up lay beneath the surface, they resolved to keep fighting for justice. Determined to uncover the truth, they turned to British former police investigator and television personality Mark Williams Thomas. Mark Williams Thomas, who famously exposed the Jimmy Savile abuse scandal in a 2012 documentary, joined forces with UK lawyer David Wells. Together, they traveled to Kuala Lumpur, spending approximately £8,000, about $15,500, to compile an unofficial report for Ivana's family. In a bold public statement, David Wells declared, "The model's fatal fall was no accident," suggesting that if the case had been handled in Britain, it would likely have been investigated as a homicide. In a surprising turn of events, the Supreme Court of Malaysia agreed in March 2019 to review the family's lawsuit. The Supreme Court acknowledged that foul play could not be ruled out, particularly noting that some of Ivana's injuries were sustained before the fall. This decision marked a complete reversal, overturning the initial accidental ruling and naming Alex and Luna Johnson as potential suspects. What was once deemed an open and shut case now lay in ruins, rejected by the highest court in the country. Finally, there seemed to be hope for justice. At the very least, the full story of what happened to Ivana deserved proper investigation. If this was truly an accident, why were there so many lingering questions? Why did the Johnsons flee the country? Why did they request and, more shockingly, receive a second drug test? News of the court's decision sent shockwaves through the country, leading to widespread condemnation of the couple and sparking calls for accountability. The case raised pointed questions about the influence of wealthy expats and whether they could exploit the country's systems and evade justice. Today, the Johnsons reside in Miami, Florida, literally on the other side of the world from Malaysia. Likely, they wish for nothing more than to leave this incident in the past. But then, a determined reporter from the Daily Mail, along with a camera crew, tracks Luna down on the streets of Miami, hoping to finally get a comment on the case. In the footage, Luna is polite, but asks for the camera to be turned off, explaining that they've been overwhelmed by online harassment and threats. One disturbing incident involved an anonymous caller claiming to be Luna's father, contacting their daughter's school and implying a threat to kidnap the young girl. As Ivana Smith's tragic story captures worldwide attention, many in the court of public opinion have already turned against the Johnsons. But for true justice, for Ivana's family and the Johnsons alike, it's essential that the couple cooperates with the investigation. With international attention and a Supreme Court ruling now focused on the case, the best path forward would be to finally put this matter to rest. After all, a promising young woman, only 18 years old with a bright future, lost her life, leaving her family in anguish, yet the Johnsons seem only interested in running from the events of that night. In the latest development, Malaysian authorities issued an Interpol Blue Notice on October 14, 2024, to locate Alexander William Johnson, now 51, and Lunara Al-Maskizi, now 37, in connection with Ivana's suspicious death in 2017. This follows a similar notice initially issued in 2020. Although Interpol has no direct jurisdiction in the United States, the US does have an extradition agreement with Malaysia. Whether the charges would be enough for extradition, however, remains uncertain. Meanwhile, the High Court in Kuala Lumpur was set to begin trial on a lawsuit by Ivana's mother, Christina Verstappen, against Malaysian authorities. Speculation continues around whether an out-of-court settlement may be underway. The lawsuit alleges negligence and mishandling of her daughter's case, citing failures such as not securing the crime scene and prematurely ruling the cause of death. It's currently underway as of October 30th, 2024. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out other cases on the screen. This is Victor, signing out.